Susan's harp playing in a moment. And just a reminder, do listen to every note because it brings you back to your body and your breath and the moment. And I'll listen too. Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. Really, I'm always so grateful. All right, and good people online. Hello, welcome. Let's see. For today's session, let me tell you what we're going to do. I quite like my invention of a class for today, which is based on downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. The literal translation is dog with the face down, as opposed to dog with the face up. And all the different ways that we can approach that by working with our anatomy. So that's the pose, and then the link is through different ways that we can use our bodies to enhance the pose. How many dog poses have you done in your life? At least hundreds, probably. So it's nice to be able to refresh the pose. We need a belt, a block, maybe a blanket later for comfort, and a wall space. So hopefully you'll have a wall space for one set of exercises that we'll do. And let's begin. Grab your belt. And come up to standing. So where do the poses start? From breathing. So let's work with breathing. So let's have you take the loose belt and place it at the bottom of your rib cage where you would imagine the diaphragm to be, and then bring it around your back and back to the front where you've got the two loose ends of the belt. So just below your sternum at the bottom of your rib cage. And then let's get comfortable in your stance. So feel your footprints, your 2 feet on the floor, your kind of comfortable uprightness. And then where you're holding the belt, just tighten it a little bit as you exhale. Then inhale and let the belt widen a little bit with a big breath in that's in that mid-torso area. And continue inhaling and broadening the lower ribs, and exhaling fully and contracting them. Let's do a few rounds like that, where you start to sense the potential for the breath can be more than just the front of your body. You can also feel the belt at the back of your body, kind of that where your kidneys are. So when you inhale, you just kind of puff up the kidneys a little bit. And exhaling, maybe at the end of the exhalation, drawing the navel back. Just check that your knees are slightly bent, that they're kind of soft behind the knees. And keep going with your cycles. And the spirit of this really is exploration. So interesting that you can breathe into the side ribs, the back ribs, the front ribs, maybe even circumferentially equal. All right, and then let's leave off that with the last exhalation there and leave the belt to the side. And we'll stay with the breathing for a little bit longer. So if you bring your arms out to the side and come halfway up, you did that really nice movement. We've explored this before, where your shoulder blades are wide out towards the side ribs. And then you exhale and the shoulder blades come back into their natural place. And then this time when you bring your arms up, Pause, keep breathing, and turn your palms up towards the ceiling, and then bring your arms all the way up. And feel the shoulder blades wing out to the side at the same time as they lift up. And exhale down. Let's do a few of these where we can sandwich the movement between the breaths. So inhale starts, and then the movement starts. The movement complete, a little bit more inhalation. Then the exhalation starts, and then the movement starts, and the arms coming down. And the movement ends when your arms are back by your side, and a little bit more exhalation. And like that, and you're right in the moment with every part of the movement and the breath. Just at the end of the exhalation, a little bit more where you feel the abdomen draw back, not tense, but just lifted and drawn back slightly. And then we'll do this cycle and finish. The movement finishes, the exhalation finishes. Beautiful. And while I've got your position like this, bring your arms forward and up, so elevating your shoulders and shoulder blades. And then practice this. Draw the inside of your shoulder blades down and lift the outside of your shoulder blades up towards your elbows and the little finger side of your hand. That's very specific information. So see if you can bring the inner shoulder blades down and the outer shoulder blades up. That could be really helpful when you're in an inverted position in downward facing dog pose. And then exhale and bring your arms down to your side. Good. And then just shake yourself out a little bit. And come to lying position on your mat, lying on your back with your legs bent and your feet close to your buttocks. Get comfortable there. You might waggle your hips a little bit and feel that your weight is through the back of your pelvis on your sacrum. Your feet are a little bit apart and your knees are a little bit apart. Bring your right knee towards your chest. Lift your left foot off the floor, left knee towards your chest. Hold at the front of your knees and then circle your knees. These are small circles that I'm making, so we don't have to get too wild here, especially in the beginning, and just sensing and feeling the back of the pelvis. It makes its own impression into the mat. And then go the other way. Pause in the middle in neutral position. And then separate your knees, hip width distance, separate your feet, and rotate your feet and your ankles in circles. Circle your feet, your ankles. Keep your shoulders relaxed. And we're just doing normal, natural breathing. Go the other way. Just waking your feet and ankles up a little bit, and then pausing with your knees and your feet together. Then let's do the in and out movement, and exhaling, bringing your knees in a little closer to you, inhaling, moving your knees away. And alternating between compressing the abdomen a little bit as you bring your knees in, a little squeeze of the breath out, and then getting a nice big breath to your upper part of your chest, the corners of your upper chest. Okay, and as you continue, See if you can, let's stop that movement, which is so simple, and see if you can adjust the pelvis so that you're moving your sitting bones towards the floor. And feel the potential for that movement. When you bring your knees in once more again, let's do this together. Knees towards you, the sitting bones lift up towards the ceiling. Move your knees away from you and they rotate and roll down towards the floor. Next time you bring your knees in towards you, see if you can do the sort of counterintuitive movement and move your sitting bones towards the floor. And notice what happens there with your pelvis, the rotation of the legs. Good. And let go from that effort. And then let's continue working with the breath and reach your hands around to the backs of your thighs and the backs of your knees and extend your legs up towards the ceiling. Good. You can keep a little bit bend to your knees if you like, and your knees directly over your hip bones. Then with your legs extended, bring your arms overhead. And then let's do bent leg and bring your arms back down by the side of your body. Exhale, knees towards your chest, arms towards the floor, reaching down to the floor. Inhale, it's like a hamstring stretch, arms overhead. And exhale, maybe a little bit of a tummy squeeze as your arms back down. Keep going. And maybe as you go along, you can find a deeper breath, but at no point being stressed by what you're doing with your breathing. All right, and then the last time that you bring your legs down and your arms down, bring your feet all the way to the floor. And let's do our small bridges. So, on an inhalation, lift your hips away from the floor. And at the same time, turn your arms out from the topmost part of your arms near to your shoulders. And then exhale, lower down all over again. Turn your palms down. So the palms down is the starting position. And inhale, hips up, arms rotate out, shoulders rotate out. And bring your chin a little closer to your chest. And exhale, coming back down to the floor with palms pressing down. Beautiful. And then just one more time. And back to base. And let's try a couple of these, which are really nice movements in warming up shoulders and shoulder blades for your dog poses later. Eventually we'll get to a dog pose. And then as you come into your bridge and lift your hips off the floor, extend your arms overhead beyond your head. And then don't lower your arms, just lower your hips back to the floor as you draw the base of the spine away from the upper back. And then come up again. Your arms are still overhead towards the floor. Inhaling. And this time bring your arms back down by your side. Such a lovely movement. Let's go again. And arms overhead and hips high. Release any tension around the coccyx, around the base of your spine. Keep your arms where they are and lower back down, drawing the spine away from the head as you return to the ground. Inhale, come up again. And arms back down as you bring your buttocks down. Good. Let's finish before we come into cat pose with a little twist. So have your feet slightly separated, your knees are separated. Move your arms slightly away from the side of your body and drop your knees to the right. Allow the head to loll to the left side if that's comfortable for your neck. back to center, over to the left, knees to the left, maybe looking to the right. Where is your line of vision? And just a few more of those. Next time you bring your knees over to the right, let's roll to the right. And as advertised, let's come into cat pose. All right, and then have a look at your hands and open the spacing between your fingers, between your index finger and your thumbs. And then rotate your hips. Let's circle the hips. Let that circling move up your spine until you're rotating your shoulders in a circle too. Allow your head and your neck to move. And go the other way. Maybe you can make a circle with your nose as though you're drawing a round shape on your mat with your nose. Okay, and then halt in the center. Have your knees slightly apart. Swing your feet together and roll your buttocks back into child's pose with your arms extended forward. Exhale. Let's keep moving. Inhale, back to cat. Exhale, buttocks to heels, towards your heels. Inhale, when you come up, feel like you can open the corners of your front chest forward. And when you exhale back, chin towards the jugular notch. All right, and one more round, inhaling. And then tuck your toes under, and you're ready to move into dog pose. Lift your upper spine up towards the ceiling, and exhale, downward facing dog pose. Dog with the face down. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then pedal your feet. Another chance to wake up your toes, your foot bones, your ankles. Good. And then halt. Lift your heels high. Maybe you're on the backs of the toes, maybe you're on the balls of the toes, and then bend your knees a little bit and rake your hips up towards the ceiling. Let's find that movement from the sitting bones. Sitting bones tilting up. Stretch your arms. Stretch your spine up. Release your head down. Beautiful. And then back to cat. Back to child. Drop your elbows. Relax your upper back. Broaden across your shoulder blades. Broaden your shoulder blades. Feel your shoulder blades sitting nicely out towards your outer ribs. Inhale all fours. Exhale down dog. This time, the more classic version of it. So working to straighten your legs. Notice if your calf muscles feel tight or your front of your ankle feels a little compacted. Just notice those things about your own pose. And then while you're there, and while we hold the pose, see if you can draw the inner shoulder blades back towards your hips, and move the outer shoulder blades towards your elbows, towards the little finger side of your hand. Chin towards the jugular notch. Can you see your breastplate? I can't. And then take a little walk forward. And take it nice and easy. Bring yourself up. Head comes up last. All right. Let's do a little vinyasa, a little flow with dog pose and uttanasana. So facing the short end of your mat, a couple of shoulder rolls. Any way you like doing those, forward, back, one at a time. Okay, let's start from prayer pose. And even here, with your palms in front of your chest, lift the tips of your elbows and feel the corners of your chest neatly open. And then inhale, extend your arms up. Exhale, let's come into Uttanasana. Bring your palms back together and take a deep bow. Head down, buttocks up. Bring your hands onto the tops of your shin bones. Lift your chest, feel into your upper back, and concave your back a little bit. Squeeze your shoulder blades in. Good. And then exhale, downward facing dog pose. As you take some deep breaths, can you still breathe into your side rib cage, into your back rib cage? And does that help you lengthen a little bit or lighten the pose to do that? All right, take a walk forward, inhaling in Uttanasana, hold your shin bones, lift your chest, open your chest forward, exhale, drop down. Inhale, bring your arms forward and up, reach up, and exhale, returning to prayer pose. All right, just a little reminder, because we tend to want to look up when our arms are up overhead. That's a nice movement. Bring your hands to the base of your skull. Interlock your hands behind the base of your skull where your occiput is. And then let your head just rest back into the cradle of your hands. Then draw your gaze upwards and lengthen the back of your neck, looking up. And then looking forward, release your hands down, back down to your side. And remember that movement. Inhale, bring your arms forward and up. As you lift your head to look up at your hands, lift from the base of your skull. Release the top shoulder blades outwards. And then dropping into Uttanasana. And then Uttanasana with your head up, holding your legs. Inhale. Exhale, dropping down and stepping back into downward facing dog pose. And then let's do an awareness here. Walk forward to your hands. And as though you were going to step back into dog pose, do you always use the same foot? So one is a more familiar movement. So let's do the unfamiliar one, the other foot. Stepping that foot back, then the other, and downward facing dog pose, and stretch away. Inhale, walk forward. Do you always step forward with the same foot? You step forward with the opposite foot. Uttanasana with your head up, chest up. Beautiful. Exhale, Uttanasana, head down. Inhale, arms forward and up. Stretching up, lift up from the back of your neck, and exhale back to prayer. Beautiful. So, you've had a sense of how the dog poses are going at the moment. Let's see if we can build in a little bit more flexibility into your dog pose. So we'll do a wall pose. So come to face towards a empty wall somewhere. So my people in the room looking for walls, facing towards the wall. Good. And then bring your right arm up and place your right palm on the wall just above your arm. How far should you be away from the wall? You'll find out in a moment. So fairly close, and maybe almost as though you could bring that right armpit into the wall. Keep the opposite shoulder relaxed. And then press your palm and do a pivot through your feet and turn 45 degrees to the left. Turn a little bit further if you feel you can do that movement and the shoulder feels all right with it. You can turn your feet almost 90 degrees from the wall if that feels all right in your shoulder. Relax the opposite shoulder. Press into the wall with your hand. Notice what's happened with the shoulder blade on that side. Okay, good. And then turn back towards the wall. Take your right hand out at 45 degrees. If you had a clock face here, you'd be going, say, from, I don't know, 12 o'clock to 1:30. And then do your rotation again and turn away from the wall. Just 45 degrees with your feet is good in the beginning. And then turn a little bit more if you are enjoying that shoulder stretch, if your shoulder is enjoying it, your pec stretch. Okay, good. And then turn back to the wall, facing the wall. Lower your arm halfway, so it's at 3 o'clock position. Press into your palm, and then do another rotation. Turn your feet. Turn your chest. So we've gone incrementally into a stronger stretch. Is your left shoulder trying to help? Keep it relaxed. You can give it a little bit of a shake out. Good. If this feels good, then you're rotating your neck at the same time. Good. And then turn back to the wall. And then happily release that arm back down to your side. Just step back from the wall for a moment. And take a little assessment here. What does that right shoulder feel like? The pectoral muscle. Might feel a little tingling there. All right, and then let's go the other side. And moving in close to the wall. This is feeling too strong for you, you can do a little more distance from the wall. Left arm straight up towards the ceiling, 12 o'clock. Left armpit towards the wall, if that feels like a nice stretch for you. Good. And then turning towards the right side. You might notice a very big difference between the two sides, and go really easy or not at all if this is too strong in your shoulder. And keep the right shoulder relaxed. Good. Keep the palm pressing into the wall, all the fingers, all the edges of your hand. Good. And turn back. All right, now we're going anti-clockwise to about 11:30. Press your palm. Turn away from your left arm. Do that in small increments to discover what's there for you. Good, so there's kind of resistance movement in there, pressing the palm into the wall. I can feel that all the way up into my biceps, my deltoid muscle. And then facing back towards the wall, lowering to 9 o'clock position. Good, press your palm, turn. Good, on the left shoulder here, that collarbone, Nice and long, left collarbone. As you press your left hand, can you lift a little bit at the same time from the left shoulder blade? Okay, good. And then turning back towards the wall. Release that arm. Let it just dangle. And then as an experiment, let's see what your next downward facing dog pose is like. And onto your mat. From Uttanasana, bend your knees, walk your hands forward, walk your feet back. Incorporating the work that you did there, the collarbones, from the inside of them, right along to the edges, broad. Feel the breath into the side ribs and into the armpits. Feel the reach of the arms from the outer shoulder blades. And maybe working at this point more with straighter legs. You don't have to be completely straight, but and lifting the buttock bones. All right, let's give all that arm work a rest and come down into child's pose with your forearms resting. You might want to fold your arms, rest your head onto your folded hands. Not to be obsessed with downward facing dog pose, but let's add a little footwork and see if that helps with the pose. Eventually, come on up to standing and grab your block. Okay, this is partly a balancing pose. So maybe you want the wall next to you, or maybe you want a chair next to you. So place the block in front of you. So it's lying flat. And then let's work on the right foot first and bring your right foot toes up onto the block. So you're balanced on your right heel. That's the easy movement when you've lifted your foot. Now let's put a little work into the back of the leg, into the calf muscle, by stepping the left foot forward too. So ultimately the feet will be in a line. So depending on how much you can feel that the calf muscle needs stretching, you may have leant forward. So bring yourself back to your knowledge of your best posture with your right heel pressing down, your left heel pressing down. And if that's not too strong for you and you want to test your stretch, you could step the left foot a little further forward. That's when I start to hunch a little bit, so straightening up again. Good. Relax your shoulders. Okay, good. And then step that foot back and bring the top of the foot onto the floor. So, yeah, that's your toenails. And then stretch the front of your ankle. Good. Relax your shoulders. And let's swap it over. And stepping up your left foot. And stepping forward your right foot. If you've had a bit of ankle trauma, sprained ankles or broken ankles, that kind of thing, just go really easy here. And As much as you can, bring back your best posture. This is my bad sprained ankle side, so I'm not going to go any further, but you might want to try stepping your right foot a little forward, and then that comfortably nice posture. And when we release that left foot, the top of the left foot back, balance on the front of the foot. Really, it ends up your toes, your toenails, I think. And shoulders relaxed. Okay, beautiful. And then shake out your feet. I've only learned these movements recently, remarkably recently. I wish I'd known them all through my yoga training. Downward facing dog pose. Oh, so many elements to think about. Just take a while to get comfortable there, if in fact dog pose is a comfortable pose for you. And then let's weave in a little bit of the several elements we looked at. So lift your heels, you're on the backs of your toes, but even better, lift your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Think about it. It may not work for you, but put your intention there. You put an arrow in your bow and you aim it, and we'll do the best we can. Keep your buttock bones up towards the ceiling, and then lower your heels. Looking back at the front of your ankles, see if you can move back into your heels a little bit more by lifting your kneecaps, lifting your thigh muscles. Beautiful. And then finally, in your arm movements, inner shoulder blades back, outer shoulder blades towards your outer arms, and then a well-deserved rest and bending into child's pose. And then as you're taking rest, feel the breath again, as I was saying, circumferentially. So there it is in your back ribs, in the lateral ribs, in the front diaphragm, maybe taking the inhalation breaths all the way to the top front corners of your chest. And let's exit through dog pose and walk forward. And inhale and come up. All right, and then let's make the vinyasa a little bit more extended. So starting at the facing the short end of your mat, standing in your Tadasana. Bring your hands into the front chest. Lift your elbows a little bit. Lift the lungs and the heart center. And inhale, stretch up. Lift the base of the skull. Exhale, stretch down. Uttanasana, forward fold, holding your legs, lift your chest. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog pose. Do you remember which foot you took back first? All right, and then we're going to come into a lunge and step your right foot forward. And keep your lunge and inhale and come up. And you're in warrior one pose. Arms up. From here, we'll move into Parsvattanasana. So straightening your front leg, Lower your hands to your right leg, so you can hold your right leg, or bring your hands down alongside your right foot. Keep the right knee bent a little bit. And coming back to Warrior One pose. Press into your right heel, balance, inhale, arms up. And then downward facing dog pose. And right foot back. And left foot forward. Keep the bent leg, your knees above your ankle, and get your balance. A little difficult there. And then arms up. And straightening through the front leg into Parsvattanasana. Good. Bend your knee forward over your ankle and balance on the front foot and heel, and inhale and come up. And exhale, downward facing dog pose. Take another couple of breaths because you're so well established in this pose now, all the details of it. Walk forward to your hands, Uttanasana with your head up. Exhale, Uttanasana with your head down. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Inhale, exhale, prayer pose, and release. Well done. Let's do a standing pose facing the long end of your mat. So step out wide for this one. Do a little bit of ankle rolling if that feels a safe movement for your ankles. Rolling in, rolling out. Good. And then pause where you're able to lift the arches of your feet on the inside, outer arches of your feet. Bring your hands onto your hips and then turn your feet in a little bit more. And then lift the inner arches of your feet a little more. Lift up through your inner ankles, relax your shoulders. Take a halfway forward bend. And we'll do downward facing dog pose with wide legs. So begin to walk your hands out. If your hands don't easily reach the floor, you can always have a block there in front of you. And then balance the weight through your forefoot and your heel equally. Right foot, left foot. I can feel I'm a little bit light on my heels. So as I establish the pressure through my heels, I can lift my buttock bones. And now that we've been there through a few breath cycles, maybe take your hands a little bit farther forward. Rebalance the weight onto your feet. Right foot, left foot. And then let's see if we can push out through the heels, as though the bone could actually stretch from the inner heel to the outer heel. And easy walk in. Good. As your weight comes back into your heels and your buttocks come back a little bit, bring your hands onto your mat, just at the edge of your mat. Come up onto your fingertips. Look at your fingertips, and they're dome-shaped. And then lift up through your wrist to your corners of your chest. Lift your chest. Extend your chest forward. Feel your footing really strong. And then let's bring the feet in. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, until you're all the way in. Bend your knees over your ankles. Bring your hands onto your hips. Press your hips down onto your legs. Inhale and come up. Head last. I think time to lie down. Grab a block. Okay, with your block and lying on your back, your legs bent, your feet on the floor near to your buttocks. Lift your hips, bring the block underneath your sacrum. That's a big bone flat area. So find the place where you feel well supported, and don't stint until you feel that you're relatively comfortable like that. If that's a sensitive point for you, this is fine if if you want to keep your buttocks on the floor. Then from there, bend your right knee in, left knee in. Slide your hands underneath the back of your thighs near to your knees and extend the legs up towards the ceiling. So if your hamstrings are tight, the calf muscles or Achilles, just keep your knees over the hip sockets with your knees a little bit bent. Otherwise, straightening the legs to the extent that you can. Keep the edges of your feet close together or all the way together, the edges of your big toes. And then imagine that you're trying to pull your feet apart, but you can't. So you're going to work with that resistance, pushing the outer edges of your feet, the outer spine of your feet outwards. And then you might palpate your thigh muscles and feel where you're working there. So I feel a lot of work in turning my legs in when I do that movement, and also the very topmost front thigh muscles, the quadriceps. And then bend your knees and let your knees drop down towards your chest. You can still hold at the back of your knees, at the back of your thighs. Relax your shoulders. And then let's go through another cycle of that and extend up the legs. Bring your feet together. And then work as though you want to separate your feet from each other. Keep your feet parallel as you can with the ceiling. So the little toe comes down a little bit, the big toe, and especially the base of it lifted up towards the ceiling. You're trying to pull your feet apart. And is that still creating good muscle work in the top thighs and in the outer thighs? And then finally bending your knees down. Let your hands rest on the front of your knees. Separate your knees. Your knees are apart, your feet are apart, and then with one hand on each knee, circle your knees. That's the kind of obvious way that this looks, as though you're circling your knees, but you're actually circling right back thigh bone into the hip, into the socket. Good. And then go the other way. All right, lowering your feet to the floor. Rest your hands onto your abdomen, maybe one hand below your navel, one hand up. Send the message through your sense of touch to relax the pelvic abdominal area. And we'll do two more things before the relaxation. And the first one is a twist. So taking the block out and having the feet hip width apart, your knees apart. Drop your knees to the right side. Extend your arms out from your shoulders. And then bring your left knee up a little bit. Place your left foot flat on the floor. Tone the left buttock and lift the left buttock slightly away from the floor. Maybe you're going to rotate a little bit more weight onto the right side as you lift that left buttock. Look left if that's comfortable in your neck movement. Good. Other side. Knees merely drop to the left side. Head lolls to the right side. Lift your right knee away from the lower leg. Plant your footprint, left foot. Tone the left buttock and lift it up. And go back to the original side. Right knees to the right, I should say. And then extend the left arm overhead. Extend the left arm, maybe it rests on the floor next to your left ear. Place the left foot flat, press. And then, similarly to what you did, move the left shoulder blade in. And stretch all along that side. That's the obvious movement, isn't it? All right, and then other side. Right arm, stretch it. Reach it. Right foot presses down. Right buttock. Now maybe right shoulder blade too. Can you move that in? Can you feel where it is? All right. And then knees back to the vertical position. Arms down by your side. Beautiful. And then inhale and come up to a seated position. And we'll be seated for some breathing for a few minutes, so I'm going to get comfortable. I've got these really nice baby bolsters. So some people like to sit in virasana with hero pose with their bent leg position, your heels, your feet alongside your hips, or sitting cross-legged. And then spend a little bit of time, probably it's the most important thing, in getting a good seat. So drawing your buttocks back, your sitting bones back. And then play with a kind of pelvic rotation, tilt, until it feels like you're landing in between the pubic bone and the tailbone, and you're well supported there on the base of your pelvis. Leave your arms onto your legs, your hands onto your thighs, I should say, and relax your elbows. Elbows are close by your ribs. And establishing a seated, more reflective mood here as you're seated quietly. And then bring your hands up and place your hands folded over your heart center. And feel through that sense of touch that you're elevating your heart with not even a hint of stressfulness or tightness. We're going to do a simple movement of opening the arms out to the side. And as you do that, tilting the chin up. So inhale, arms open, looking up. Exhale, folding your hands back in and chin towards the jugular knot. In-breath in, opening. Exhaling. You might alternate one hand on top and then the other hand on top as we go along. Keep the elbows a little bit crooked to keep the arms and the shoulders from being stiff. And think about just one more thing. Are you breathing into the back as much as the front body? You might find that easier to do when you're exhaling. Go 2 more rounds. And completing, and then resting your hands where they're comfortable, either palms up or palms down. And close your eyes for a moment and then see if you can feel the movement of your breath as you're still, but with the breath still animating you. Just soft breathing. And now we'll move into the yoga relaxation. So take what you need for that. I have a blanket here that I use to support my neck and head. I like to think of the time that you spend in setting yourself up. This is when you're in charge and creating a position that reflects your self-care, your ability to nurture yourself. So blanket for comfort or not. An eye covering if you like. And a little time spent in getting settled. Keep your legs bent and your feet on the floor near to your buttocks. And where your arms are out to the side, bend your elbows and allow your forearms to be perpendicular to the floor. Your palms facing each other. And then press down through the arm bones into the mat. And see if you can feel a little bit more into the outer shoulder blades and press them down too. So a little bit of work there, just to get the awareness into the upper part of your back. And then when you've done that, then let your arms drop out to the side. Palms uppermost. And let any tension go out of the shoulders, the shoulder blades. And feel the shoulder blades broadening. Then extend the right leg away from you. Flex your right foot. And create a strong stretch from hip to heel. Then keep the tension there at the back of the right leg and extend out the left leg. Flex your left foot, press your left heel, and extend the heels away from the hips. And finally, let the legs drop out. With that bit of awareness and attention to the legs, now allow the arches of the feet to relax. The ankle bones. The calf muscles spread. The inner knees are relaxed. And all the thigh muscles around the thigh bones loose on the bone with not a hint of gripping. Feel where you placed your hands earlier over the pelvic abdominal area, and allow that bowl shape, the muscles, to release back into the back of the body like a very soft hammock sinking back. Relax your diaphragm. Maybe feel into it. And then the muscles that support the rib cage, relax them. Until you've given your heart and your lungs more space. Feel the softening through your throat. If it feels at all tight in your neck and your throat, just swallow very gently until the walls of your throat relax. Where your upper limbs lie, relax from your shoulders to your fingertips. And feel the support of the arms, the support of the back, the whole torso, the legs, settled. If you've not done it yet, then draw your sense of vision inwards, the sense of hearing inwards, all the senses able to be pacified now. Be ever so gentle with yourself in re-emerging from the relaxation, and just do a simple folding of your hands back onto your diaphragm, your abdomen, or even your heart center, and coming back fully into your body. When you're ready, take your own sweet time, roll onto your side. Stay there for another breath or two, so you know you're not rushing. And let's come up. And it's probably a good session, this particular session, for bringing to mind the Buddhist blessings. And we'll just repeat them a couple of times. So let my words be your words if you like. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. And maybe bring to mind somebody special in your life, maybe even someone who's not doing so well at the moment. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. And finally, for all of us, may we be safe. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we live with ease. Namaste. Thank you. And I think that must have been a good practice, because peristalsis, tummy rumblings, which might have been going on to the recording, I don't know. Which is perfectly all right. It's a good thing. It means you're letting go. I'll just turn, let's see. Oh, unmute yourself.